Welcome back to strings. In the last class, we have seen what is a string and what are the different ways to create a string and how to access the individual characters of a string. And in this class, we are going to focus on various built-in methods for strings in Python. And to know the built-in methods available in strings, we can print like this, print dir str. When we execute this, it will print what are all the methods available with string data type. Now we are going to see very important methods out of these things. First, let us focus on upper, lower, and then capitalize methods. Let me assume that I have a string called str1 and which is initialized with Python programming. In this, some of the letters are smaller letters and some are capital letters. When I use the method upper, it is going to return the string in the uppercase. For example, here in str1, I have Python programming where only two letters are in uppercase. When I call str1.upper, it is going to convert each and every character in the string into uppercase, and then the new string will be stored in a new memory location, and the reference to that memory location will be returned. We are printing that now. When I print, I am getting Python programming all in capital letters. Similarly, we can convert a string into lowercase by means of lower function. To call this function, we have to use the string object what we have created, str1.lower, and then when we print, we are getting all the characters of the string converted into lowercase. And we can also use the capitalize function with the help of this object. And when we call str1.capitalize, this function is going to return only the first character in the string in uppercase, and all the remaining characters of the string will be converted into lowercase. And we have another function called title. When we call this function by means of str1.title, it is going to convert the string into title case. Title case is nothing but a string will have so many words. In every word, the first character will be converted into uppercase and all the remaining characters will be converted into lowercase. So when we consider the output, the capitalize function converted the first letter of the particular string into capital, and then title function is going to convert the first letter of every word in the string into capital. All the remaining will be in smaller case. Now, we have another important methods to check whether a particular string is containing all the characters as lowercase or all as uppercase. The methods are is lower and then is upper. Try to understand the difference between upper and is upper. Upper is a method which is going to convert the string into uppercase, but is upper is going to find whether a string contains all the letters as uppercase letters or not. So this function is going to return us a Boolean value. If a particular string is containing all the characters as uppercase, then is upper method will be returning true, otherwise it will return false. Similarly, we have is lower function, which is going to return true if a string contains all the characters as lowercase letters, otherwise it will return false. And the return value of these methods is nothing but it is Boolean. For example, let me assume that string 1 is initialized to India. All are in capital letters. When I call str1.isLower, this is going to check whether this contains all as lowercase. No, it is not true, so false will be printed. Whereas if I call str1.upper, since the string contains all the letters as uppercase letters, this function is going to return true, so we are printing that. Similar to is upper and is lower, we also have is alnum, which is going to check whether a string is containing only alphabets and then numbers. AL stands for alphabet and NUM stands for number. So this function will return true if a string is containing only alphanumeric characters. Otherwise, it will return false. So for example, let me assume that str1 as lotus123. This string is containing alphabets and then numbers only. So when I call str1.alnum, is alnum, this is going to return me true. Whereas if I consider the string as lotus space 123, when I call this function is alnum, this will return false. The reason is this is containing space as an additional character, which is not an alphanumeric character. Similarly, lotus at 123 is initialized to str1. When we call str1.isAlnum, again this will return false because at symbol is not a part of alphanumeric character. So isAlnum is a function which will return true only if all the characters in the string are alphanumeric. Similar to isAlnum, we have method called isAlpha. This method will return true if all the characters in the string are alphabets. So for example, let me consider that I have the string called my name. It is initialized to str1. Now I am calling the function isAlpha with the help of this object str1. When I do that, it will check whether all the characters in this are alphabets. Yes, so true will be returned. And in the second case, I have initialized my underscore name. So in this case, underscore is not an alphabet, therefore this will return false. And in the third case, I have initialized my name one as a string. So here, when I call the function isAlpha for this particular string object, this will again return false. The reason is this contains one is not an alphabet, it is a digit. If you call isAlnum for this particular string, we will be getting true, whereas isAlpha is returning false. Now, we have isDigit method. This is going to return true if all the characters in a given string are digits. So now string 1 is my name 1. I am calling the function isDigit for the string object. This is returning false because some of the characters in this particular string are not digits. Whereas if I initialize str1 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in this is actually a string because it is initialized inside double quote, and all the characters in this particular string are digits. Therefore, this particular function will return me true. So the next method is isIdentifier. This method will return true if a particular string is a valid identifier. So we know what is a valid identifier. It can contain only alphanumeric letters, that is nothing but alphabets, digits, and then underscore. And also a valid identifier cannot start with a number. Even though digit is allowed, an identifier cannot start with a number. So when you want to check whether a particular string is a valid identifier, we can call this function isIdentifier. So str1 is now initialized with my name 1, and I am calling the function isIdentifier with the help of this string object. And since this is a valid identifier, it is returning me true. Why it is a valid identifier? Because it contains only alphabets and then digits. And also it is not starting with any digit. Whereas if you see the second one, str1 is initialized with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm calling the function str1 dot isIdentifier. When I do that, I'm getting false. The reason is, even though digits are allowed in the identifier, a particular identifier cannot start with a digit. But this identifier is starting with 1, so we are getting false for this. So the next function we are going to focus is strip function, and this particular function is going to remove any white space or otherwise any specified character from the beginning or end of the string. This is generally used to remove unwanted characters at both the end of the string. If we have any character at the middle of the string, this function is not going to remove. It can remove the white space character or specified characters either from the beginning or otherwise from the end of the string. Let me assume that I have an object, string object str2, that is initialized with some space at the beginning, then hi message, after that again space in the middle, hello, then again space at the end. So I have initialized the string object with this particular data. Now I am calling the function strip. When I want to call the function, I am calling with the help of this string object str2. And when I run this, if you see, before this, I am printing the string object. I am getting the output like this. So initially I have some space, after that hi, then space, and then hello. Then after I call the strip function, when I print the data, this is going to remove white spaces at the beginning as well as at the end of the string. So these white spaces at the beginning of the string will be removed. So hi is printed. Then after hello, when we have any white space, that will also be removed. So you can see here, when I highlight, I am getting blue color here, whereas in this, I'm not getting that. So there is a white space in this particular string. That is also removed by this strip function. And whatever white space we have at the middle of the string, that is not removed by strip. And it is not that we can remove only white spaces. Here I have not given what character to be removed, so it will consider the default character. So the default character is white space. That is nothing but space character. So it is removing that. And if you consider the next example, I have initialized string str3 with dollar 3 times and then 50,000 and then again 3 times dollar is appearing. Now I want to strip only dollar from the string. So what I am doing is I'm calling the function strip by passing the dollar symbol. When I run this program, it is going to strip the dollars, whichever is appearing at the beginning of the string as well as at the end of the string. So when I run, I'm getting the output as 50,000. It has removed the dollar at the beginning as well as at the end. So this is how we are going to have the output from the strip method. In addition to strip method, we have another method called lstrip, which is going to remove the white spaces or otherwise the specified character from the beginning of the string. L stands for left. So in the left direction. Left direction means beginning of the string. So in this I am calling lstrip by passing dollar as the argument. Then this particular string object is used to call the function str3. So if you consider lstrip is going to remove only from the left, that is nothing but the beginning of the string. So these $3 will be removed. So I will have 50,000 followed by $3. It is not removing the dollars at the end of the string. In addition, we have rstrip method. When we call this method, it is going to remove the extra characters, whatever we are specifying, only from the end of the string. That is nothing but right hand side of the string. So when this particular program is executed, we are going to get these $3 removed because this is at the right of the string, whereas these $3 will be retained as such. So we have seen how the strip method can be used to remove any character that is specified by the user from the beginning as well as end of the string. And the next method we are going to focus is split. Split is a method which is going to split a particular string based upon the specified split character. So we are going to specify one character. Based upon that only, it will be splitting the string. And after that, it will return a list of splitted objects. So we have to collect all the objects in the list and we have to print it. So if you consider here, I have initialized str1 with India, USA, UK. This is containing the comma. I am going to split this string based upon this comma. So when I do that, starting from India, starting from the first letter I till this comma, one split will occur. So India will be in the first element of the list. And then there is a comma. So starting from comma till the next comma, another element of the list will be created. So USA will be the second element in the list. Then I have comma. Starting from this comma till the end of the string, I don't have any other comma. So UK will be considered as the third element in the string, third element in the list. So when I do that, I have to call the function split by passing what is the character to be considered for splitting. So here I am going to consider the character as comma. It is given inside double quote. And when we do that, we are getting the output as India, USA, UK. And we already know that square bracket is going to specify that it is a list. So we have a list with 3 elements because there are 2 comma. It is going to divide into 3 different objects. And based upon this, we can specify any character for splitting the string and we will only get list of objects. And similar to splitting, we can even join different elements of the list together to form a particular string. So let's see how to join elements to form a particular string. So this join method is going to take all the items in an iteratable object. Now, this iteratable object can be list or tuple or anything. So it is going to take all the elements in the iteratable object and then it is going to join them into one particular string. And when we call this particular method, we are going to call the method. For this, we need one object to invoke the method and we will be passing one parameter. So the object to invoke this method is nothing but str1. This is nothing but it is a string. It is specified as a separator. So here, when we join different iteratable object into one string, we are going to separate them. So what is a separating character? That we can specify in the first object what we are going to use for invoking the method join. So here I have specified str1 is equal to comma. After that, I have a list. Why I'm giving list here is we need an iteratable object. So I'm giving a list. The list contains 3 items: apple, banana, and then orange. So it is a list of strings. So now I'm going to call the join method with the help of the object str1. To this method, I am going to pass str2 as the argument. When I call this, it is going to first take the first object in this, that is first element in the list. So that will be considered apple. After that, it will consider what is this string. It is comma. So after apple, we will have comma. Then it is going to consider the second element, banana. After that, again comma. Then consider the third element, orange. Since orange is the last element in the list, we will not have any comma after that. So when we run this, we are going to get the output as apple, comma, banana, comma, orange. Suppose if I don't want comma, I want to have space between different elements in the list, then I can specify str1 as space. So here you can see there is one white space. So I'm specifying one white space. Then this method is first going to take the first element in the list, apple. After apple, it is going to consider this space. So we are getting space after apple. After that, take the second element, banana. After that, again space. Then take the third element, orange. Since this is the last element, we will not have any space after this particular element. So when I print this, I am getting apple space, banana space, orange. Hope up to this it is clear. Now, let us focus on the next method, count. So count method is going to return the number of times a given parameter appears in a string. This is for counting the frequency of a character in a string, or otherwise frequency of a substring in a given string. For these things, we can use this built-in method. In other languages, we have to write our own function. But here in Python, we have a large collection of set of functions available. So all our work is now made easy. I'm going to now initialize str1 with I love programming. Python is my favorite programming language. Now, this is a string. In this string, I want to count how many times the word programming is appearing. So if you consider the string, it is appearing 2 times. One is here and the other is here. So I want to count it. For that, I'm going to call the function count with the help of this str1 object. Then I have to pass what I want to count in the string. I want to count the occurrence of the word programming. So when I count, it will count how many times it is occurring and then it will return the integer value. So we are going to print it. So when I run this program, I am getting the count as 2. And this method is starting the counting from the beginning of the string. Until the end of the string, it will continue. Instead, you can say that I want to count how many times a particular word is appearing only in this particular portion of the string. So instead of starting from beginning and proceeding till the end, we can limit our search. For that, we can specify the start and the end index for the count. So let's see how to do that. In the same string object, I'm going to count how many times the word programming is appearing, but not from the beginning of the string. Instead, from the index 20 till the index 100. So when I do that, here it is printing me the answer as 1. Even though the string contains programming 2 times, this programming is appearing before the starting index. Therefore, it will not be counted. Only this particular programming is counted because this is within this particular limit. So when we run, we are getting the output as 1. Next method is index method. This index method is going to check whether a particular string or a substring is present in a given string. And if it is present, it is going to return the index at which it is present in the string. If the string is not present, then it will throw an error, and the error is value error. Now let's see how to use this method. I have a string object str1. Now I am going to call the method index with the help of str1. I want to check the index of the first occurrence of programming in this particular string. So since I'm searching for programming, I'm giving that as the argument to this particular function. When I run this program, it is giving me the answer as 7. 7 is nothing but from the beginning of the string, it will check the index at which programming is occurring. So from the beginning of the string, P is occurring at the index 7. After that, when I am comparing, all the letters here are matching. So I can say that from the beginning of the string, programming is occurring at the index 7. So I am getting the answer as 7. And suppose instead of searching from the beginning till the end, I can even search the index in a particular limit. For that, I can specify the start value and then end value. So when I do that, this function is going to search for the keyword programming starting from the index 20 till the index 100 only. So when I do that, it is going to return me the index of this particular programming. So here I have programming, because this programming is not considered since I have specified the starting character as 20. This is before 20. Therefore, it will give the index of this particular programming. So here the index is written as 43. So what is the meaning of 43? The first letter P is at the index 43. So it is returning me that particular answer. And instead of searching from the beginning of the string, we can even search from the end of the string. For that, we have R index. R index is going to return the index of the first occurrence of the specified substring starting from the right hand side of the string. That is nothing but from the ending direction. So when I call this particular method, here we have programming in this as well as in this. When we call R index, it is going to start from the end of the string. So only this particular programming will be the first occurrence. So it is going to return me the index of this P, that is nothing but 43 will be written as the answer. And in this particular string, I am going to search whether web is present. Actually, web is not present. So when I search for web by calling str1.index by passing web as an argument, I am getting value error. So the reason is index method will be returning as error when the data is not present in the string. So instead of returning error, if we need to return some other value, that will be good for us. So for that only, we have the function find. Find function is exactly similar to the index function. Only difference is in case of index, when the particular data what we are searching for is not present in the string, it is returning us error, value error. Whereas when we use the find function, if the particular data is not present in the string, it is going to return us -1. All the remaining are same. So you can see here, we are getting 7, 43, 43. The same thing only I am doing here, 7, 43, 43 I am getting. Now, what is this -1? Let us see here. I am searching whether web is present in the particular string str1. str1 is not having web. So in that case, this will return as -1. So this is the only difference between find method and then index method. In index method, when we search for web, we got value error. But here we are getting -1 as an answer. The next group of functions are for performing alignment. String 1 is initialized with Python, and I am calling the method center with the help of this str1 object. Here I'm specifying two parameters. First parameter is when we want to do alignment, what is the maximum width we are going to consider for the alignment? That is the first parameter. So here it is 10. And the second parameter is if our string is less than that, we will have some extra spaces. That spaces should be filled with some character. What is the replacement character? That is the second parameter, it is star. So when I run this, if you consider Python is having only 6 letters, but I am going to display this in 10 columns. So 4 character spaces are extra for me. So what is going to happen is this will display this Python at the center. We have 4 extra characters. At the left hand side, it will leave 2 characters. At the right hand side, it will leave 2 characters. And those 2 characters spaces are filled with the second parameter, what we are specifying here. That is nothing but asterisk. Suppose instead of 10, if I give an odd number, now what will be the output is out of 11, 6 will be occupied by Python. Remaining 5 we have. At the left hand side, it will leave 3 spaces. At the right hand side, 2 spaces. And those spaces will be filled with the asterisk character. Now we have seen how to do the centering. Similar to centering, we can go for left justification as well as right justification. When I go for left justification, 10 spaces will be allocated for the particular string. So here Python is having only 6 characters. The remaining 4 characters will be replaced with asterisk. And since it is left justified, Python will be printed at the left of the string. And the 4 asterisk will be placed after this Python. And similar to this, when we go for right justification, Python will be printed at the right of the string. That is nothing but out of 10 characters, the last six characters will be Python, and the first 4 characters will be asterisk. So now we have seen some of the built-in functions. In the next video, we will continue with the remaining built-in functions in Python. Thank you, everyone.